Hey, good morning. Yes, Proot, early gigs stream. So this is or has been my sports stream, and I had been fairly consistently every Friday morning for a very long time doing a sports stream. We're resurrecting that here on Monday mornings. Friday mornings was just too hard with work. Um, so I'm gonna try to do this a little bit different than what I've normally done. I'm gonna run it both as a radio broadcast and as a live broadcast. So if I talk to you in chat, I'll mention. I'll say like, hey, Proot here in chat says, hey, early gig stream win, right? Because I want all of the people who are out there listening on Spotify after I upload it later today. Uh, Oh, yeah, good to know. Yeah, so Fruit didn't know that I was doing that on Friday. But yeah, that's what this is. We're gonna talk a little bit of Chicago Cubs. We're gonna talk a little bit of Notre Dame Fighting Irish as the spring game comes up. Um, and we'll probably cover a few other things. Things that I'm not likely to cover will be the NBA playoffs. I hate to say it, I'm just not interested. I know this is supposed to be a sports stream. I don't deny that it's a sport. It is absolutely a sport. The athletes who play it are. Brute says the Tigers are terrible. Yeah, that's. Brute, I understand, right? I grew up loving the Cubs. They call them the lovable losers for a reason for a long time. Yeah, so I won't be covering the NBA playoffs. I'm just not interested in watching them. That's all there is to it, right? It's not that I don't think it's a sport or whatever. I just don't find it exciting to watch. A lot of people feel that way about golf and baseball. Um, and if those people deny that golf and baseball are sports, well, go stand out there in the batter's box and let somebody throw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball by you, and then tell me it's not a sport. Tell me you can swing that bat and hit that ball, and that it's not a sport, right? I doubt it. I doubt once anybody sees that, I doubt it, right? And then golf takes just a tremendous amount of coordination. To be good at it, you absolutely do have to be strong. Tiger Woods was one of the early first people to go to the weight room, lift weights, and hit a ball well. I shouldn't say the first one to go to a weight room and lift weights and play golf, but he was one of the first to really like do it consistently and prove the results on a week in and week out basis. And he won 15 plus majors. So, yeah, right. So there's something that is to be said for that. Uh, but yes, the Tigers are absolutely terrible, my friend. No lies there. So welcome in. If you're out there watching, listening, as I said, we're relaunching the Monday morning sports stream, and sadly we're launching it to start a 2 week break from the sports stream. Why do you ask? Well, a few things going on in my life. One, next weekend I have a funeral that I have to go to, or a burial. And so because of that, I will not be here that Monday morning. My flights were planned around me coming back from the funeral. That yeah, that Monday. Um, Making some changes to that, but needless to say, I'll be out of touch. And then the following weekend, actually, I'll be at a baseball game. So we won't have this for the next 2 Mondays. I might push it out to Tuesday of the what is that, May 2nd? Tuesday, May 2nd. So I might do one Tuesday, May 2nd, and we'll see how that goes based on whether or not I have to start going to the office 3 times a week come May 1st. Yeah, well, but yes, the plan is to keep this going, moving on track on Mondays as consistently as possible, and we'll go from there. So yeah, I'm gonna start with Cubs baseball. I tell you what, the Cubs have been on a roll y'all. So currently second place behind Milwaukee. Milwaukee's been crushing it. But the only series the Cubs haven't won this year is that series against the Brewers to open things up. Now, they had a game that they were supposed to play with the Reds that was postponed, so they didn't win that game. But honestly, not too shabby, right? Winning 2 out of 3 in every other series that they've played, split the series with the Reds early on, and then relief pitching has been honestly kind of the nail in the coffin for almost every game that they've played this season. Had a 14-9 game against the Mariners early this past week, and it was one of those things where the scoring didn't stop and the pitching never got better throughout the game. This play clock, this accelerated play clock, the pitch clock, I guess is what we're calling it. It's certainly making the game more interesting. Pitchers have less time to rest between pitches. I would assume they're getting tired faster. They're having a harder time getting set, getting their focus before they throw the ball, right? Kind of getting in the zone. And if you've ever thrown a ball, well, I don't know that I've ever thrown a ball more than 60 miles an hour, but if you've ever tried to throw a ball 60 miles an hour, you know that there's a tremendous amount of focus required to do that, right? These players throw 60 easily because they practice it every day. They've been doing long throw drills since high school. They're now in their 20s, so they've been doing it every day for, probably the last 8 to 10 years. Where they're just throwing the ball long, distance throwing the ball in order to make their arms a little bit more tired. The games do go quicker, right? But there were certainly other ways to do that without putting a pitch clock up, or without maybe the pitch clock needs to be a little bit longer. It's a trial season for it, so we'll see what happens. A lot of things can go on over the course of this season. They'll learn a lot, right? Baseball players, baseball fans, baseball general managers are typically statisticians. So they did a lot of research before they even did this. And because they did a lot of research before they even did this, it's launched fairly well. Most sports, when they would launch a new initiative like this, I think would not have done the research, would not have done the diligence into, well, what if we do this, right? What if we I don't know, put in a pitch clock and make the pitch clock 8 seconds. And as we've seen, it takes at least 8 seconds, right? 8 seconds is when the batter has to look at the pitcher in order to throw the ball. Otherwise, he takes an automatic strike. So yeah, it's made the games quicker. We will find out. We'll find out what it does to the players. We'll find out how pitching gets tired out. But the Cubs need to figure out relief pitching here a little bit. It's just been rough. Stroman's got the Cubs, best ERA. No surprise, he's their ace, right? He's had 20 strikeouts already on the season. His ERA is 1, which is phenomenal. He dropped a game to the Mariners last week. Maybe he got the no decision on that, actually. Thinking about that, no. The Cubs were down the whole game. The game was never tied. So, and then relief pitching, the wheels just fell off the relief pitchers. Gosh. And the bats have been good. The bats have been great for the Cubs. They have yet to play Uh, they've played 3 games where they've only scored 1 run, and in most games, well, in almost every game that they've won, uh, they've scored 3 or more. So the bats are going good. Cody Bellinger hit a home run yesterday against the Dodgers. Uh, Cubs lost on Saturday to the Dodgers. Bellinger still hit a home run in that game. It was the only run of the game. They lost that game 2-1. It was a walk off home run by former Cub Jason Hayward, actually, on Jackie Robinson Day. So, funny enough, Hayward, aka J Hay, had this great idea to get the Cubs and the Dodgers together outside in front of the Jackie Robinson memorial statue at Dodger Stadium to have this kind of get together of the two teams before the game started on Saturday. Thought that was a beautiful thing, A lot of guys that played with Hayward on the Cubs were there. Just anybody who hadn't moved on from the Cubs, and the Cubs roster looks very different this year from what it did last year and from what it did 4 or 5 years ago. Right? Anybody who was a big Cubs fan when they won the World Series, it's 7 years later. The team looks completely different, and it should. Right? It's been 7 years. Now, I thought about that the other day. Really, it's been 7 years since the Cubs won the World Series. For any Cubs fans out there, it feels like it happened yesterday. But it's been 7 years. Mind blowing to me when I realized that the other day. Well, time goes on. They're going to have a heck of a season this year. I think they've got a legitimate shot at the wild card early off here, right? But as always, National League Central is going to be very competitive. So, like any season, we'll see how it goes. Normally, the Cubs not doing this well this early in the season. Normally, they're not above 500 going into May. So, Prout says, Cubs fans, Prout in my chat here says, only 93 more years to go until the Cubs win the next World Series. Let's hope that's not true. I think the Cubs will win another one in our life. The owners and management, they're invested, right? They want to see the Cubs win a World Series, and I don't think that. I don't think we're too many years off from another good postseason run anyway. And with these new rules, this really benefits. I think this really benefits every team out there. With the shift being off kind of thing. But I think it benefits teams that want to hit and go more, and I also think it benefits teams with smaller ballparks because there should be more players on base when those home runs get hit. So we'll see more RBIs. We'll see more RBIs as a result of home runs. The stat sheet won't be 1 hit, 1 run, 1 RBI for a lot of these RBIs because players are getting on base. Now, stolen bases have increased as well in Major League Baseball. And while that doesn't affect the home run ball, it does affect number of runs batted in. So, 1 out double pretty much automatically becomes, or a no out double with a man on second, pretty much automatically becomes a run scored. Once you've got a player on base, if you've got a good base stealer on base, we're going to start seeing a lot more stolen bases, especially since you can only get 2 pickoff moves now. So that's going to make the game a lot more interesting. It's going to make the game a lot more high scoring. Of course, that'll be on both sides of the ball, right? But you get a little bit of a home field advantage when you have, when you know your park, right? The pitchers get to know their own mound. They're more comfortable on it. All in all, I would say that teams like the Cubs, which have a smaller field, a hitter-friendly field, especially once it gets warm. Um, the Red Sox, I hate to say it, the Yankees, right? They've got a hitter-friendly field. The Dodgers with that little with the short wall in right field. And teams like the Rockies as well, where once it gets hot, thin air, the ball just goes forever. See a lot of home runs in that park. Um, you know, Pitchers having less time to get set. We've certainly seen a lot more issues with control. Uh, I think I've seen the automatic ball happen um, a few times. Watching this season, certainly happened more the first day than it did. As the now we're 2.5 weeks into the season. But it is certainly speeding the game up. I don't know that it makes the game better, but it makes the game more exciting. And if that's what you need to say that a game is good, then it has done that for you. I will miss the old pitching battles. We will certainly see fewer perfect games, fewer no hitters. Pitchers who pitch no hitters and perfect games may very well be on a Hall of Fame run instantly from just one outing now, based on these new rules. I would like to say the commercials have not gotten better. We still get 3.5 to 5 minutes of commercials in between innings, and I still think that's where they could have shortened the game. I think that would have been the better spot to shorten the game. Make the commercials 90 seconds, charge more for them, get the players on and off the field, and if you reduce the game or the game time by 1.5 minutes over the course of 17 and a half halves, right? We play 9 innings. 9 times 2 is 18, but there's no half at the end of the 9th inning unless we're going into free baseball, right? But you get my point, right? You can reduce the game by 25 minutes, ish. And that would have had the same effect as the pitch clock. And then just run if you want to run more commercials, run cheaper commercials after the inning has restarted, and that you're going to have 30 seconds of the pitcher looking at the first batter, and you can do exactly like Major League Soccer and rugby and hockey and all these other sports have done, and you can put the game in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and you can play the commercial, or the upper left-hand corner of the screen, and you can play the commercial on the big screen, and with no audio for 30 to 60 seconds, boo-hoo, right? Like, people watching the game don't care that much. The only people who care are the people who are listening to it on the radio. And I'm sure radio would love to make more for commercials as well. So if you, supply and demand economics, you reduce the number of commercials that are out there, the price of the commercials goes up. And maybe advertisers become less friendly to it. I don't know if the market can bear it, but at the end of the day, they did it this way. And this is what we gotta deal with for this season. I am certain, mark my words now, we will see changes going into next season. I will be very, very surprised if they keep everything that they've changed into this season exactly the same. What might we see different? Well, some teams have started moving an outfielder in to play shallow outfield. So instead of having a shift where we have 3 players standing between first and second base, all of which are infielders, now we have 3 players standing between first and second base, one of which is an outfielder. Does it create a big gap in the outfield? Yes, it does. But if I know that guy can't hit it past the third or down the third baseline, do I care? Right? Do I care if I know that guys like Freddie Freeman and Marcus Rizzo standing, Anthony Rizzo, Marcus Rizzo, I don't know who that is, and Anthony Rizzo standing on the on the left hand side of the plate? Do I care if I know that they cannot hit it to left field that I don't have a left fielder? Probably not, right? And if I've got a very fast center fielder, well, I know he's going to go over there and get that ball anyway. Anything hit over there will probably be a double. I've still got a guy standing on third. As long as everybody does their job and knows exactly what it is the heck they're doing, which they should. They're major league players. You know, it changes nothing, right? Hitting to left field for Rizzo or Freeman is still a double. With a fast center fielder, you've got to have the right players on the field to make it happen. But that's baseball, right? You always want to have the right players on the field. So, my surprise of the year for the Chicago Cubs, Dansby Swanson, currently hitting 358. It is only April. It's only the second week of April, but Swanson's hitting 358. Wow, he didn't play this well for the Braves. Is it the new rules? I don't know. I need to look. Honestly, I need to look and see. I'm sad I'm not playing fantasy baseball this year, y'all, because I have not gotten into baseball enough by not having a fantasy team to be able to keep up with these stats and track all these stats and see how this has affected baseball. I think we'll see by the end of the season more of that out there, right? People will get the bigger picture when we get to the end of the season with fantasy baseball, exactly what has happened. By the way, if you listen to my stream and you want to play fantasy football this fall, I'm going to put it out there right now. I will be putting a fantasy football league together. We will not have playoffs end in the final week of football. In fact, we'll probably only go 14 weeks if we play. When we play, right? Because it's just not okay. Those last 2 weeks, yeah, people are coming back from injuries, all that, right? But everybody gets sat in that final week, and sometimes they get sat in the final 2 weeks. Not okay, right? So we'll run for 14 weeks, and I'd like to start fantasy baseball for our community next year. I just don't want to start it in the middle of the season, is really kind of what it is. But if we have enough interest, if enough people hop in the Discord and say, you know what, let's start fantasy baseball, we could start mid-season. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We know a little bit about what players are doing as they go into mid-season, and the rosters are set. It changes it. It makes it a little bit different. I don't know if it makes it more interesting, but it makes it different. So I'll throw that out there. All right, Notre Dame football. There have been some interesting ongoings at Notre Dame. You know what? First, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take that 1 minute commercial break that we normally take halfway through the show. Yeah. So it's almost 7 a.m. If you're out there listening on Spotify, come and join us live 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. ish, and we'll take a 1 minute commercial break. I will be right back. And if you're still watching and you can still see me, it's because you're subbed and you don't get commercials. Congratulations. All right, welcome back. So, ongoing news out of South Bend. Spring game is next weekend. It's going to be exciting. They are continuing, as I understand, the tradition started by Coach Freeman, where top players on the team, captains, pick the blue team and the gold team. Captains don't play. So, if you were designated by your coach as a preseason captain, and keep in mind, not all the captains have been named yet, or have not all necessarily been named yet, right? If, excuse me, if you were named to choose blue team or gold team and help split those teams, you're likely wearing a little C on your jersey, and you're also likely not playing in the spring game. So we'll see some of the bigger names. Some of the bigger names, and it's welcome to 7 a.m. You'll see some of the bigger names, sitting out for the game, and it's for a reason, right? We want to keep everybody healthy. Quarterbacks can't be tackled during the game. It is a scrimmage, and so because it's a scrimmage, it's two-hand tap on the quarterback. That's considered a sack. We did see last year where both of our preseason quarterbacks, during the scramble drills, they probably could have gotten away from a couple of the tackles that they were part of. I will not be watching the spring game this year. Again, I'm flying home for a funeral that weekend, and so the burial is actually happening at the same time as the spring game. I'm gonna have to find a way to record it because I do want to watch it and get back to you on it. But by the time I do, it's probably not going to be relevant. I will have been gone. I will have missed 2 Mondays of our broadcast because I am going to be in Miami the following weekend, watching the Cubs and the Marlins play. So, and if you want to know why, I recently turned 40, y'all. That's what it is. My wife surprised me a little bit. She's taking me to Miami for a 40th birthday celebration. It'll be a month after my birthday, but that's what you got to do in order to get nice weather. And we were traveling at my birthday time as well, so which was at the beginning of April, and so. Irish Sailor says it's also Notre Dame Heritage Weekend. Large former of Notre Dame football All-American players will be honored for this spring game. That's pretty cool. Thank you for sharing that. I had not found that yet, so always nice to have. My dad's a member of the community out here, Irish Sailor, and he, it's always fun when he jumps in and shares some of these fun facts with us. Yeah, so thank you for that. Really appreciate that awesome little bit of information. All right, so Peyton Bowen, who we've talked a little bit about. That's old news. All right, Notre Dame wide receiver Kaleb Smith. If you recall, he's a Virginia Tech transfer. Was considered one of our better 5-star recruits coming into the season. 6'2", 222 pounds. Could go up and get the ball. Was Virginia Tech's best player, actually, on the offensive side of the ball. Certainly their best wide receiver. And he medically retired last week. So sad to lose him. He led the Hokies with 37 receptions and 674 yards in 11 games last year. Signed with Notre Dame in December. And actually, we figured that him and Hartman, because they played together at Virginia Tech, that they would have a really good connection together. Because they once actually were both committed to play together for for Wake Forest. So, and they practiced together, leading into that. So, but yeah, I guess he's had a lot of medical issues. Didn't want to put his body on the line anymore, and that's fair. Let the you gotta take care of your body. You only get one, right? I don't know what's wrong with him. He didn't really say. Here's his. I will read his tweet from his decision to leave. So he starts it off, "Dear football," and it's I think it reads kind of like his breakup letter with football. In a way of like, really wanted to, kind of like I really wanted to keep dating you, but I got to do what's good for me. You're bad for me. Anyway, "Dear football, since I can remember, you have always been my number one priority and my dream. Throughout this journey, you took a skinny kid and built him up to be a man. Taught me how to work hard. Taught me how to refuse to lose, no matter what it is. And lastly, and most importantly, taught me the value of leadership. Throughout my career, I have had many ups and downs, going from a walk-on to team captain. But this has to be the hardest one yet. As someone who has dedicated their life to this sport, this game we call football, you never think when it will end. For me, this end has come before I was expecting it to. After countless hours of prayer and thought, I believe my time playing this game has passed. What is more important to me now is my future after football. And to achieve that, I must focus on my mental health and physical health, which has taken a great toll. Throughout the years, as much as it hurts to say this, I have peace in the decision, as I know it is what's best for myself and my family. I will be medically retiring from football and starting my next chapter of life. I want to thank everyone who contributed to my athletic career from the bottom of my heart. Gosh, I'm sorry. I need to take something for my allergies, apparently. I want to thank everyone who contributed to my athletic career from the bottom of my heart. Without you, I would not be the man I am today. I ask that you please respect my decision and privacy during these challenging times. Thank you. So that was a tweet Kaleb Smith posted 2 days ago, Saturday, at 9 o'clock in the morning. Sorry to see him go. Was very excited to see him play this season. And honestly, Notre Dame's got a legitimate shot at making the playoffs this year. Sam Hartman's going to carry us well. We've got a lot of recruits coming in. I'm excited about our coaching staff. We will see if our new and finalized coaching staff can get it done. As far as the quarterback decision goes, one has not been made yet. We all expect Sam Hartman to start in the fall, but the coaches have made no decisions. And honestly, in a lot of ways, that's good, right? Tyler Buchner is continuing to step up and attempt to improve his game going into fall ball. I guess the coaches have seen several things at practice, which have said that he is getting ready, and we need that. We need Tyler Buchner to be ready to be QB1 at Notre Dame. Will he be next year? Maybe so. Honestly, right? Hartman will play, will play for Notre Dame this year regardless. He's made the decision now that he's transferred. Whether he'll start or not, we don't know. If he does start this year, which I anticipate that he will, Buchner still has a year of eligibility. Hartman can't come back next year. So the question is, if Buchner doesn't start this year, does he transfer? I don't think he does. So he would most likely start next year. Why do I say that? Well, we do have C.J. Carr right behind him. C.J. Carr, if you recall, from Saline, Michigan, four-star caliber recruit, committed to Tommy Rees back in 2022, and has completely stayed on board with this coaching change. He had offers from Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas State, and Central Michigan, which he actually, I guess, didn't give a lot of thought to. But he's the number 1 quarterback out of the state of Michigan, number 4 overall quarterback for the recruiting class of 2023. Of 2024. So we've got him coming in. We also have, and I'm going to need just a second to look it up. Because I don't remember the name. Drake Bone will play this year. Linebacker, 4-star. He's a 2023 commit. And Kenny Minchey. That's the guy I was thinking of, from Hendersonville, Tennessee. So 6'1", 215 pounds. The number 14 overall quarterback in the country. Minchey's going to have a great opportunity, not this year, but next year, to compete for that spot against Buchner. So, Buchner, if he wants to play, if he doesn't want to end up behind the next guy up, right, he's going to have to improve. And we all had high hopes for him when he did, when he came in, because he was a very highly recruited player out of California. But that was the year that California had no football because of COVID. Right? So he sat for a whole year, didn't practice. I know we've talked about this before. Didn't practice, didn't play, aside from practice that he could do off the field, which probably wasn't a whole lot, because my guess is that during COVID, the state of California walked around to every fenced gate and put a lock on it so that kids couldn't go outside and play. Of any age, right? Of high school age all the way down to, 2 years old. Because it was public property. And it had a fence around it. And we didn't just see that in California, I saw that in South Bend when I was living there, going to grad school. Right? They took the hoops off the basketball so people couldn't go outside and play basketball. Anyway. Probably a little too much. That's my thought. So we'll see. We'll see if the coaches can get it done this year. I think we're on track. I think we're doing well, honestly. Realistically, if we lose 2, it'll be a bad season. If we lose 2, it'll be an average season. Right? We've got 3 really tough games. We'll play Ohio State in September. We'll play Southern Cal in October. And we'll play Clemson in November. 2 of those tough games are home games. The only one that we have away is Clemson. Does Clemson have our number? Well, we'll see. Does Clemson want to have our number? They sure do. You know, we've ended their season twice out of Notre Dame Stadium now, and you can bet that that is a rivalry brewing. That's a team that wants to beat us, maybe more than Southern Cal, definitely more than Ohio State. Probably the only team that we do play that wants to beat us more than Clemson is Navy. At least based on recent history. And Navy always wants to beat us. They just don't have the talent on the field to do it. And it's sad to see, because these, military academy schools used to be some of the best football schools in the country, but they just can't get the recruits now. Plus, they've got to meet certain height and weight requirements in order to play collegiate sports. And that's difficult to do when it's hard to play a game against people that outweigh you by over 100 pounds on the offensive line, because you've got to meet a height and weight standard. So in order for Navy to pick it up, I don't even remember what the height weight chart is. I want to look this up really quick. I'm sure I can find it. Here we go. Military.com, height and weight at a glance. So I'm 68 inches. Or I was when I was in the military. So the maximum I was allowed to weigh was 181 pounds. At 5'8". If we go up another foot, which there aren't that many guys out there that are 6'8". They certainly exist, but there aren't very many. So if we go up to 80 inches, 6'8", ladies and gentlemen, 241 pounds. We have 6'2" linebackers that are 241 pounds. We have 6'3" quarterbacks who are 241 pounds. Now, there's certainly a way around that, right? The Navy does a BMI assessment where they tape your waist around your belly button and they tape your neck. By tape, I mean they take a tape measure and they literally stick it around those parts of your body in order to see what your waist and your neck size are, and then they do some sort of calculation. There's some kind of table or something based on that, right? And they look at it and they say, okay, your waist is this size, your neck is this size, you're good to go, sir, or you're good to go, ma'am, right? Thankfully, I was never subject to the tape measure while I was in. I would certainly be subject to the tape measure if I was in now. But that's the other way they do it. And if you don't fall within those standards, you're considered out of shape. And you get put on some kind of probation. I think we've come a long way. That those kind of physical fitness assessments probably ought to change. We know a lot more about sports and sports medicine now in 2023 than we even did when I was in the military 20 years ago, 23 years ago, 22 years ago. I got out in 2009, but I joined in 2003. So yeah, 20 years ago. In fact, my enlistment date's coming up. So, as of this week, later this week, it will have been 20 years ago that I joined the military. But it's been 20 years, right? And none of that's changed. None of that's probably changed since World War II. So, forget about those 20 years. Let's go back 80, right? 80 years. The institution hasn't changed its way that it assesses people's physical fitness. 80 years of sports medicine. 80 years of things that we know about what makes people athletic, right? About the fact that you can be more athletic. And you know, and not be fat, right? Just because you have a certain height and a certain weight, or even if you are fat, right? That doesn't mean that you're not incredibly strong. Now, I also understand why some of these things exist. There are no more, as far as I know. I think all of the cots are gone off of submarines. We certainly, that all of the ships have racks on them now. The battleships, I think, were the last ones to have actual cots on them or hammocks that you would sleep on. Those were all retired at the end of Desert Storm, permanently retired at the end of Desert Storm. So that was the 90s. Meeting a height and weight requirement for some of those things, height versus weight requirement for some of those things made sense. But, let's go military academies. Let's figure this out. Because we know those big guys, they might not run very well, but there's a use for them out there in our military. Maybe they got to sign up to do something, construction related. I don't know. But if they can pass the physical demands, running however many miles it is for your branch, fitting inside the bunk, maybe some of these bigger guys do a lot better job at carrying a pack on their back than some of the smaller guys do. Sounds like a logistics expert to me. Field logistics expert. Army, I'm looking at you. Anyway. It's neither here nor there, I suppose. But if we want to talk sports medicine and we want to talk sports, I do think these places need to do something, other than letting kids volunteer for sub duty when they're 6'8". All right, I know I said I wasn't going to say very much about it. NBA playoffs are in full swing. I'm not going to say very much, but we will look at the standings really quick. If I can pull them up. All right, first round. So, all of the first round games have been played. Lakers beat the Grizzlies yesterday. Kings are up against Golden State. I think that was surprising to a lot of people. I'm not necessarily sure that was surprising to a lot of people because, again, I haven't followed basketball all year. I won't follow it very much as it goes on. But there it is. The Clippers won in round one against the Suns. The Nuggets beat the Timberwolves, in their first game. Celtics beat the Hawks. No surprise for Atlanta fans. The 76ers beat the Nets. The Knicks beat Cleveland. What is Cleveland? Oh, the Cavs. I knew that. And the Heat beat the Bucks. That's all I got for basketball. I know. Very, very exciting, right? Y'all, I just don't care that much. That's the reality of it. It's not my sport. I love playing it. I don't love watching it. That's really just, that's what it is. NFL draft is coming up soon. I think we're going to see more interesting things happen before we get there. We're a couple weeks away. Let's, I want to go find, let's go find a, no, not the draft class. Let's go find a good mock draft here really quick. Mel Kiper just posted a new mock draft. Oh, and I can't read it. Okay. Well, too bad. So sad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:25. I appreciate you being here today. It's been a lot of fun. I will put together a mock draft before the draft happens, so I'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks. We will we'll take a look at that here. I will be able to physically pull that up on my screen. If you're listening on Spotify, you won't be able to see it. So, please join us on Twitch. Again, Monday mornings, 6:30 to 7:30. I will tweet otherwise if it's not going to happen the day before, at least the day before. And as you have all heard now, I will be gone for the next 2 weeks. So I'll try to get it out on Spotify. I might go live while I'm in Miami for a little bit on my phone. Maybe I can't broadcast the game per se, but I can broadcast from the stadium. So might pull up my reaction to the Cubs versus Marlins game while I'm there. I don't know what my wife's got planned. I don't know what we're doing yet. She planned all this for me, which has been awesome. I just have kind of like the bare minimum details. She's been keeping it a pretty good secret from me. So the only reason I know stuff about it is because it's hitting the credit card bill. But anyway, all right. I love you all. God loves you more. Keep looking up. We'll see you soon. I will be back tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for a little bit of Fortnite. And we're going to raid out. My guy John Blevins is playing this morning. Playing Fortnite. We're going to go see him. For all of you out there who don't love the Lions, I'm sorry. He's a little bit of a Lions fan. He'll be talking about it all summer long. John's prediction is the Lions win the NFC North. I'm not going to say he's wrong. I think they're going to get a little bit more competition than they think they're going to get. With the Bears building back. Packers are going to be in shambles this year, and we'll see what the Vikings can do. The wheels fell off the truck there at the end of the last season for them. So it'll be a competitive NFC North, at least, for the first time in a while. And that'll be good. All right, going to John. Love you all. Keep looking up. See you soon.